Hi, and welcome to my channel. I'm a Central Texas gardener in Zone 8B. And no, your eyes are not deceiving you. I really am, on purpose, wearing sunglasses with sideburns. Why? Because I just got back from Memphis, Tennessee, home of Elvis Presley. While I was in Memphis, I had the opportunity to tour several beautiful public and private gardens, and I really was trying to rack my brain thinking on how I could bring some of that Memphis flair back to Texas. So, in today's video, I wanted to share 3 Memphis-inspired ideas that I plan on incorporating into my own garden. I hope you guys enjoy the video. So just a few years ago, this whole area was nothing but grass, and I have slowly whittled it away using my root slayer shovel until I was happy with the size. My overall goal for the backyard was to create a central pocket of lawn for my kids and for my dog with a perimeter of drought-tolerant landscaping. And so in this particular area, the fence leads out to the front yard, and so we added a gate. And then I feel like that gate called for a walkway. And this stone walkway, I feel, really sets off this whole area. And that was one of the things that really inspired me about the Memphis gardens, and I often see it in Texas gardens as well, is the use of hard elements like stone, rock, or even cement to help balance the softer lines of flowers and foliage. And so I wanted to take you through this area to show you what plants I've got in here. All right, so I'm kind of giving you a shot from the fence out towards the central part of my backyard. And I figured I'd start here with this Russian sage. And these Russian sage, there's 2 plants here. They get, I think, about 3 by 3 feet in height and spread. They've got those beautiful dusky lavender blooms, and they've got that sort of silvery gray hint to their foliage. And a lot of times, if you notice that on plants, that's a good indicator. It can be a good indicator that they are pretty drought tolerant. And so moving along here, this is a carrot, and this is one carrot, this whole all of these blooms, and it's kind of leaning quite a bit. We've had a lot of rain, and so some of my taller plants have kind of started to lean a bit, but I just feel like that beautiful white sets off all of the other vibrant colors here in this area. And I essentially got a carrot with a green top on it, stuck it in the ground in the wintertime, and this is what has emerged. And so it's always covered by less than aesthetically pleasing pollinators such as flies, but yes, I just think it's super charming. And then coming along here, this is a wonderful Texas native. Y'all know, if you've watched this channel, that I love some Mely blue sage. I've got 2 plants here, and you can see that beautiful bluish purplish color here. And this is a bee magnet, so I often see a ton of bees on it, as well as the Russian sage. This plant can get pretty big, supposed to be about 3 to 4 feet in height and spread, but it gets a lot bigger if it's happy. And a lot of times I'll have to cut these Mely blue sages back a couple of times in a growing season, just because they're so vigorous. And so I did trim these back a few weeks ago, and they're already pretty big. All right, let me take y'all in here. So here in the center, they're not very tall yet, and they don't get super tall, but I think they get about 3 feet. This is coral nymph salvia, and I bought 1 coral nymph salvia plant last year, and it readily reseeded itself. I mean, I've got multiple volunteers, to the point where I even had to transfer several out to other areas. And so this is, it's got those tubular shaped blooms, which hummingbirds really love, and just that pretty pink color. And then coming along here, really I feel like what is just bringing the cottage charm to this whole corner are all of these zinnias. So that is what all these multicolored flowers are. Orange, pink, all of these are California giant zinnias, and so they are a bit taller, 3 to 4 feet in height. And I did have a very dense planting because I overseeded, even though I had zinnias here last year and they seeded plenty on their own. So I actually had to thin them out quite a bit. So, but they are doing very well here. Zinnias are heat-loving annuals, so they can really take our heat, but they will require some moisture. So we've had lots of rain, but probably here in the summer, I will lay a soaker hose kind of through this area and let it run just when I feel like these are needing a little drink. They really do not do well with a lot of overhead watering because I think they're prone to powdery mildew. Right here, I have a Jerusalem sage, and this is a great drought tolerant evergreen. You can kind of see that silvery gray tint to the foliage. And these get quite large, 5, sometimes 6 foot in height and spread. And I really did not give this enough room. That's sort of the story of my life. They bloom most prolifically in the spring, but I just think that these, even like where I don't know what the appropriate botanical name or horticultural name for this is, but I just think those are pretty. Even when the petals fall off, this is just such an interesting feature. And so that is doing very well. Coming up behind it here is my standing cypress, which I now like to call my leaning cypress, but I have sort of staked. I had 2 rosettes here with about 5 bloom stalks each, and I had to stake them because I mean they were leaning all the way over here and it was kind of killing my vibes. And so I went ahead and I have like this plant Velcro. Let me show you what it looks like down here. And you just kind of like, you know, Velcro it in on itself. And then I have like a little bamboo stick that just kind of helps support it. And I'm letting this all go to seed, so I didn't want to chop it down. I wanted to be able to harvest some of those seeds. So this was absolutely stunning in the early part of spring. And I don't know if they normally just flower all through the summer, and maybe this is just maybe not in the greatest spot, but that has been my solution. I've just kind of staked it. I'm going to let it go to seed, and then I'm going to harvest some seed. Coming up behind me here, lots of questions on these. I've got Spartan Junipers sort of lining the fence. I have 4 more immature ones there. And so I'm hoping those will provide some screen and like a hedge here. Not that our neighbors aren't wonderful, but I really want to create a sense of enclosure along this entire backyard space. So ideally you wouldn't even be able to see fence line. So I want it to feel like you're in the woods a little bit. So here, this is a Goldeneye Plateau, or Plateau Goldeneye. I always kind of say things backwards, but this is already 6 foot tall, very vigorous grower. No blooms on it yet because it's primarily a fall bloomer. This is a perennial because it has come back from last year. And last year I had a bit of a problem where this plant sort of kind of split from the weight of, I think, the tall stalks here. So this year I went ahead and staked it. And I probably need to tighten this, but I think that has really helped keep this from doing the same thing because we've had some pretty heavy spring winds. So I'm going to let you guys kind of look at the garden this way. And if you're wondering what these yellow shrubs are, I know they're super striking. I get compliments and comments on these all the time. Those are Sunshine Lagunastrum, and there are no flowers there. That is all just foliage. They are their most yellow in a full sun setting. These get primarily morning sun. They're sort of more in an eastern exposure. They do get a little afternoon sun. I have tried these on the west side of my home and they have really struggled more. So I don't know if that was just, maybe I wasn't taking care of them or getting them established enough with enough water or what, but these have done very well in an eastern exposure with a little bit afternoon sun. So here's what that looks like from this angle. Out front here, I've got Artemisia, and there you can see that beautiful gray silvery coloring. And so these are another great drought tolerant option. And they are, at first I was worried I got the really tall ones. I guess there's some varieties that are tall, but this is more of a ground cover. And so I hope that'll kind of fill in here. Along this way, I have Indigo Spire's Salvia. And I don't know if you can see all the bee activity out here, but they are always on these. And I haven't had to water at all apart from getting them established. They have done very well, but there again, you can kind of see I've got a couple more Sunshine Lagunastrum, which I've not, given enough space. So I'm going to have to move some of these. But my thought was, that purplish blue against that yellow, I just feel like that's such a great color combo. But I'm going to have to rearrange some things this fall, I think. I wanted to kind of walk you guys briefly through this because I think I gave you guys a pretty decent tour this last video. But here is that Greg's Mist flower. And can you guys see those queen butterflies on that nectaring currently? And this mist flower, it really kind of has taken off in all the rain. It's quite a bit taller than the 2 feet it's supposed to get. So, but it's pretty happy here. And you can kind of see those, let's see if I can get it to focus for you, those blooms. And so this is a very aggressive spreader, so if you really only need one for an area and it'll fill out a space. But you can see this is always just covered in butterflies. They've kind of flown away since I'm over here, but really great way to bring butterflies to your garden. All right, and then I'm going to take you to this area, and here is a dwarf variety of Crepe Myrtle called Bellini. And so I've got a volunteer growing in the back. I think I've shared with some of you. This is really a part shade setting. It gets a little bit of morning sun, but I've had several native Texas plants back here that just haven't made it. I've had Turk's Cap and I've had American Beautyberry, and so I've not had much luck there. So I've kind of, this is done well, the Crepe Myrtle, and then I've got another semi-dwarf Crepe Myrtle, and then this one has sort of, I've got a little volunteer over here that seems to be doing well, so I'm just gonna let it ride. Now I've got a bit of a problem area here. Can you guys see this? So I've had to hack this back quite a bit. So this is Right Skullcap here, and here is the one I haven't chopped back, but I wanted to show you the culprit of my cutbacks. Can you guys see those little red and black beetles? Those are, I think, shiny flea beetles. And they have really just defoliated these other two Skullcap to the point where I've had to, I've been putting diatomaceous earth out here on these, and it's only really effective while it's dry. And so I've had to reapply between rains, and I need to do that again over here because clearly there's plenty of them still on this one. But I'm hoping these other ones come back despite me having to give them a pretty heavy pruning. And then this is Whale's Tongue Agave. It's looking pretty good. I wanted to share this plant with you. I've got a coleus in the middle of it, so that's not what I'm sharing. I'm sharing this Mexican oregano, which technically is an evergreen, and it's used for, as a spice, but it also flowers. Can you guys see the flower here? Let me see if I can get it to focus for you. So, and the flowers are kind of like a deep to lighter purple, so it's almost like an ombre effect. They're so pretty. And I actually planted this a couple of seasons ago, and I didn't think it made it, but I guess it just needed to get itself established, so it's kind of taken over this corner. And per usual, I have not given this coleus enough room. I just didn't think this would come back, so I had a coleus there and I just left it, and so now I've got that situation going on. You can see these different coleus that I've planted here, and these are, I think, a dwarf variety called Fairway, so they're just different color combinations, and so my goal is for these to kind of fill in. And then back here I have a chili patine or Pekin, and this chili, let me see, I've got one here. These are red and green, and they pack a big punch. I was out here one time and I saw one and I just popped it in my mouth, and it was not a good idea. They are quite a bit spicier than jalapenos. I'm not sure if these can take a full sun setting. I've primarily seen these in shade, and that's kind of where I've got mine, in this more like part shade setting. And I actually also planted this about the same time that I planted that Mexican oregano, which it didn't do well, and this really didn't do well until now. And so I don't know what it took, but all of a sudden it's really gotten itself established and has taken off. So you guys can kind of see everything this way. So it just kind of lets you see that. So another really inspiring thing in these Memphis gardens was the use of garden art. And I saw everything from very expensive art to painted and recycled milk jugs. And what I really appreciated about this art was that the gardener very skillfully would use that art to draw your eye to a certain area. One example of this was the use of sort of more vertical lines. There were a couple of gardens that used sort of these recycled or reclaimed, repurposed items. One was a set of farm augers, sort of in a set of 3. Another was a pipe organ, like the actual pipes from the organ, and also bird houses. And they just gave me a little bit of motivation to kind of create some vertical interest myself. So what I have planned is on the wall behind me. This is my garage wall, and it is really in a part shade setting, as we've discussed. And so I don't have really I'm not having a lot of luck growing things back there. So I've just got this big void full of nothing but brick. And I thought that would be a really nice place for a piece of art, and probably a large piece of garden art. So what I'm going to put there is actually a set of 2 wrought iron panels, about 6 foot by 2 foot each. So very long panels. And I will link the vendor that I used in the description box. I felt like they were very reasonable. And this particular vendor has lots of other options in case I've motivated you to do the same thing. But a lot of times with garden art, at least for me, you know, right now with trying to establish a garden, I'd rather spend the money on the plants than the art. But it had such a visual impact that I think it might be worth it. So you guys stay tuned, and we'll see how it comes out. All right, so here is that foundation planting that I've shared with you guys last video. But I wanted to share with you sort of an update on this recent installation. And so here I have Liatris, and isn't that interesting? Listen, y'all, I don't know if this is supposed to be this bright yellow and green or if it's diseased, but it looks pretty cool. I do believe this is Blazing Star Liatris, so maybe that is just a feature of this particular variety. These do flower, but I think will flower late summer, early fall. Coming along here, and things have really come along, but I can also see that I need to move some things. So I probably need to move this autumn sage like down there, and then I think I probably need to move this dwarf Yopon holly over here, but I've just kind of got a lot of red autumn sage. That's what all the little red flowers are. And then, you know, that's a 3 by 3 foot evergreen shrub. And so all your interest. And then here with the dwarf Yopon holly, these can get quite a bit large, about 3 to 4 feet in height and spread. And same thing, evergreen. And these are native as well, like the autumn sage. And then here I've got all of this Mexican feathergrass, and I've just sort of carried that on repeat all the way through this mulched bed. But like we talked about earlier, you know, I've added some rock element, and I've got another boulder here. And I do think that helps sort of break up the expanse of all this giant mulched bed, and I feel like it does sort of help set off some of the foliage. And so coming along here, I also have, I did add these later because it was kind of an empty spot. I added these Salvia, and I don't know what variety they are, but they sure are pretty. And y'all, these are on the southwest corner of my house where it is like very, very hot. And they seem to be taking that just fine. I have not watered these apart from getting them established at the beginning, but we've had a lot of supplemental rain, and so that's, I guess, what's taking care of these. Coming along here, I have another Zexmenia, and then I'm excited about these guys. So this is, I think, silver spurge or gopher spurge. I think it is also, I think the botanical name is Euphorbia rigida, but I've got 4 of these, and these are really fascinating. They're sort of they're an evergreen, I believe, and they flower, and they just have this very unique structure. And so I've kind of put those on, sort of like created a bit of a drift here. I think they get about 2 to 3 feet in spread. And then coming along here, here's that rock bed, and it's coming along. Check out how vibrant these Wright's Skullcap are. This is what it's supposed to look like now. I do have, listen, you see that little flea beetle in there? I'm gonna get him later. This one was almost, I thought it was totally dead, but it came back. So I'm hoping the ones in my backyard will come back, but isn't that vibrant? And I feel like just the evening, just sort of, I don't know, the coloring at night just kind of sets them off even more. And then here, I've got this blue powder, this Yucca pallida, blue powder, another whale's tongue agave, and then I've got these Blackfoot daisies, and which are quite happy here. They just have spread out quite a bit. So I'll bring you guys this way, kind of along that foundation planting. And again, I had my last video kind of talked about each of these plants, so I just wanted to kind of orient you. But I did want to share that I did a couple of things here. One, I got rid of my cross vine here. It was just getting a little too crazy, and I added a Mexican flame vine, which I think primarily is an annual forest. It's not doing anything now. It doesn't look like much now, but I have seen these and they are just absolutely stunning, and they flower all through the summer versus cross vine, which just gives you maybe 3 weeks of flowering in April or so. The other thing I wanted to share was another great heat-loving summer annual called Cosmos. And I've kind of got them in the backdrop here, but check out that color. Aren't those pretty? And so I thought I just transplanted these Mely blue sages earlier this spring. They were volunteers. And so I put the Cosmos in the back as a backdrop, and we'll see how that comes together. And so there's my Texas sage. Again, has those beautiful, that gray silver hue to the leaves, which lets you know it's probably a drought tolerant plant. So the final thing that really inspired me about Memphis was the front door / front patio charm. And I really do want to create a more inviting front door space, because currently it's June now. I've still got my Christmas wreath up, and then I've got a couple of vacated wasp nests. That's all I got decorating my front area. So let me turn you guys around. All right, so there's the front door. It's not an incredibly wide patio, so it's not like I got room for all this furniture and busyness. But what I was thinking was, kind of from a functional standpoint, you guys see my downspout here? I was thinking about adding a nice rain tank here, which is not very decorative or inviting, but functional, so that I can water things on this patio. And then because that patio is so narrow, I was thinking about maybe adding like a bench here, but like a little glider bench. So not a swing, because we don't have room for all that, but just like maybe a little glider bench right here. And then maybe flanked by some nice potted plants. So let me kind of let you see the other side. Tell me what you think about this area, and maybe what I could do here. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and until the next one, y'all take care.